It is 3 in the morning and you have been crying for so long you cannot remember starting. The tissues are in a pile and your face is swollen and your chest aches from the inside out. At some point you became frightened by how much, how loudly, how constantly, how without apparent bottom. You start to wonder if something is medically wrong with you for crying this much and this hard. Most people treat heavy crying as a sign of weakness or instability or a breakdown to be stopped. Most people reach for the fix, the medication, the distraction, the call to make it stop. Stay with me, because what I am about to tell you about, those tears might be the most important thing. Something that completely reframes what is happening in your body when you cry that hard and that long. Biochemist William Fry studied emotional tears for years and found something remarkable about their composition. Emotional tears, the kind produced by grief and loss, have a completely different chemistry than reflex tears. Reflex tears, produced when you cut an onion or when wind hits your eyes, are primarily saline and water. Emotional tears contain something else, high concentrations of stress hormones, including cortisol and prolactin, the same cortisol that floods your bloodstream when you are under devastating, sustained, overwhelming stress. When you cry those deep, body-shaking, inexhaustible grief tears, you are doing something biological and specific. You are expelling stress hormones from your body through the most direct biological route available to you. Crying is not a breakdown. Crying is your body's most efficient system for toxin removal under extreme stress. If you did not cry, those hormones would remain at high concentrations in your bloodstream for longer. Sustained high cortisol affects the immune system, disrupts sleep, increases cardiac strain, impairs cognition. Your body knows this. That is why it built a removal system and makes you use it under extreme conditions. The crying that feels like losing control is, in biological reality, the most controlled response your body can make. It is the body doing exactly what it is supposed to do when what it is experiencing is this large. Think about what it means to cry that hard and be unable to stop for hours in the night. It means the stress inside you is at a level your body has classified as requiring emergency excretion. It means your biological systems have decided that the ordinary methods of managing stress are insufficient. It means your body is taking over from your conscious mind and doing what needs to be done to keep you alive. That is not weakness. That is your body fighting for your survival with every tool it has available. Every tear that falls is carrying with it a small concentration of the hormones that would otherwise harm you. You are not falling apart at 3 in the morning. You are being actively maintained by your own biology. The cries that feel like they will kill you are actually your body's most sincere effort to keep you living. There is a reason babies cry without restraint and without shame. And it is not because they are weak. It is because they have not yet learned to override a system that was built for their well-being and survival. Crying is a biological survival mechanism of the highest order, built specifically for moments this serious. You were not designed to contain what you are experiencing. You were designed to move it through and out. The tears are the movement. The tears are the exit. The tears are the body doing what the body does. Consider also what happens in the brain during extended grief crying. The neurological side of this. The act of crying activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch associated with rest and recovery. It is the same branch activated during sleep, during calm breathing, during the feeling of being held. So even as the tears are expelling stress hormones, the act of crying is simultaneously triggering your rest response. Your body is running two processes simultaneously: excretion of what is harmful and activation of what heals. You are not just processing. You are being restored, imperfectly, painfully, but genuinely being restored. The crying that exhausts you is also the crying that partially repairs you. Both are true at once. After a long cry, you likely notice a particular kind of emptiness, heavy but somehow slightly cleaner. That is not your imagination. That is the measurable physiological aftermath of hormonal reduction and parasympathetic activation. You feel empty because something was emptied. You feel quieter because you're nervous. System was finally soothed. That is not nothing. That is your body completing a cycle it was built to complete and finally being allowed to. Let us step outside the biology for a moment and acknowledge what grief crying actually asks of a person. It asks you to let go of control in a situation where control already feels completely and utterly impossible. It asks you to trust a body that seems to be betraying you with its inability to be composed. It asks you to stay inside a sensation that feels like it might consume everything if you let it move through. That is an act of enormous courage. To cry that fully, that loudly, that without a bottom in sight. You are not weak for crying. You are brave for not stopping a process your body urgently needs to complete. There is something else worth knowing about grief tears that the science has begun to illuminate more recently. Beyond the hormonal composition, researchers have found that crying also releases endorphins and oxytocin. Oxytocin is the same hormone released during bonding, during comfort, during being physically held by someone safe. Your body releases it during grief crying, as if it is trying to give you the experience of being held, as if it knows you need to feel held and is generating the chemical equivalent of that from the inside. When no one is there at 3 a.m, your own biology is attempting to hold you. That is not a coincidence or a comfort story. That is the actual biochemistry of what happens when you cry hard. You are being held by your own body, even in the moments when no human arms are available. And the longer and more deeply you allow the crying, the more sustained that internal holding actually becomes. This is why people who